We've mentioned DS9 before. We've had screenshots from DS9 before. And I've mentioned JS9 now for a few years, to a couple of years at least. We haven't got to it yet. However, I do believe that this year we might possibly be in a position where we might have one question that will use JS9. We will use screenshots. We will not be accessing the database for 2018. I think if you just go online, they're still working with the tools. They're working with very specific multi-wavelength image sets, trying to make them compatible enough that we can compare and contrast what's going on in different wavelengths that are actually sort of like in scale to each other for some of the deep sky objects. But the only way to prepare for that particular question, as I said, it will be a screenshot. You can go to the JS9 website and just play around with it. More things are added to it all the time, and or the DS9 stuff is all still there. They're the same tools as DS9. They're just now going to be browser-based embedded web pages. So eventually, maybe you will be doing this on your cell phone or your tablet directly connected to the database. I'm hoping for that somewhere down the road, and I hope, and I will. Well, there will be one question using screenshots this year with JS9. That's all I can say, because that's all I know about that at the moment. So here are, again, the same websites as last year. The CDs are available from the National Science Olympiad store. APOD is the greatest place ever to go and look for images, because when you plug in a deep sky object, up comes every public release image in all the different wavelengths for that particular object, and they give really nice summaries with links. Really great site. So there are the major sites to use for that. So again, to prepare for 2018, read the event description for the content, know your allowable resources, use this webinar for just a little overview to give you an idea for what the deep sky objects are and why they were chosen and how they fit into the process of stellar evolution. Access the PowerPoint slide that accompanies this webinar from the National Science Olympiad website, so you can look at the links that are linked with every single slide, so you don't have to spend the majority of your time searching for content. Just go to those few right there. You can use the Astronomy Coaches Manual. Again, it's a guide for background information. The stellar evolution material that's in that guide is pretty much what I wrote that is posted under the stellar evolution section on the Chandra website. So if you don't have the manual, you can still read it from the Chandra website as a guide for background information, though there are other things on that CD besides that. Use the resources that are given to you in the webinar and in the PowerPoint presentation. Astronomy 2013 event was also Type 2 supernova events. If you wanted to go look at that, it would be in the 2014 CD released by National Science Olympiad and available from their bookstore. It might be valuable for the types of questions that are asked. Again, in the past I have produced flashcard sets. Well, I'm not calling them flashcard sets now. I'm not going to produce them the exact same way. I'm going to produce some stellar evolution card sets that are from this year's, well, 2018, from the 2018 deep sky objects. So if you use the stellar evolution card sets to do the sequences to learn the process of stellar evolution, and then you add in the cards that are substitute this year's deep sky objects instead of some of the ones that are in that card set, you will see where they fit within the process of stellar evolution. Because once you recognize something is a pulsar or a Type 2 remnant or a red supergiant, then you know everything there is to know about it that's really important already, because it's just like that object or that object. A red supergiant is a red supergiant is a red supergiant. So it gives you a good idea of what those deep sky objects are when you add them to other stellar evolution card sets and see the sequence of them. So they are going to be designed specifically to be used with those other card sets. And again, there will be a webinar produced, but I'm not exactly sure when, to actually show you how that happens. I'm going to do it. Do not forget YouTube, because a lot of videos for a lot of these deep sky objects this year are actually already out there, little YouTube segments. So go to YouTube, and again, just like APOD, go to YouTube for the video orientation. You know, you can look up the images in different wavelengths on APOD, and then you can go to YouTube and actually see the objects in action. There are a lot of invitationals going on. Some teams go to 4, 5, 6, 7 invitationals. Some of them travel to local ones, some of them travel to the national ones. And this is a concern for all of those teams who cannot afford to travel to invitationals and don't happen to have any locally that are beneficial to them. So we are going to, from now on, we will always do this. The MIT Invitational is in January in Cambridge, Mass. In February this will be the second. This year was the very first Golden Gate Invitational at UC Berkeley. That was in February. We did that one, Tad and I ran those two. And from now on, as soon as those two invitationals are over, we're going to post the test and the answer key on the National Science Olympiad website so that you can immediately have that same experience of taking an invitational, hopefully well-written invitational, so that you do not have that disadvantage. So we will also be posting others. There's also the SciOly website where a lot of posting has gone on. The Pennsylvania State one, regional one, and state one, I believe, is on there. Very powerful. Also, sample for you to use to determine, you know, how much you've learned and what you still need to catch up on to be prepared for competition. So there will be lots of things posted on there for you to be able to use to help you to prepare for competition. Do not forget, if you have a question about the event description, please go to the clarifications menu on the Science Olympiad website and ask it there. If you have a question, it might be something poorly written, or maybe like last year we had like 2 numbers transposed in one of the deep sky objects, which was a little frustrating for some of you, but fortunately for me, somebody catches those right away, and we can add something to the clarifications menu so everybody knows that. So if you have anything specifically relating to the event description like that, please post that as a question under the clarifications menu for us to share. We now have a cadre of former Science Olympiad alumni who either medaled or placed really high in the astronomy event, who are now undergraduates, and some of them graduate students by now, and undergraduate students who are now helping to write all of the questions for the invitationals and for the national. So we have a large test bank. We're writing a lot. Every time we do one, we're going to post it to the website so that you have that same advantage. So I think that should do it for 2018. If you all know that you can always contact Tad or I if you have any questions, and hopefully we will be able to provide you with the answer. Thank you.